Good day, fellow Jersey Nerds, and welcome to episode 75 of the Jersey Nerds podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan, and I'm joined by Shawn, and today on the Nerdcast, we're going to be getting into the 2019 Stanley Cup Playoffs. We'll be looking at each series and making our predictions so you can follow along, take all the insight, and then enter our HJC hockey pool, which is available on HockeyJerseyConcepts.com right now. So I mentioned Shawn. Shawn's on the show. How was your week, Shawn? What's going on?
Well, let me tell you a story, and this is the story of how I tried to sell a couple hockey jerseys from my collection, and Facebook wouldn't let me.
Really?
So for those of you that don't know, you can put up, basically classified ads on Facebook. It's kind of like they took a look at, eBay and Kijiji and said, oh, we can do that, but worse. But you know what? I've had good luck with it before in selling stuff. And, I'd have a pretty substantial jersey collection. And sometimes you want to move some old ones, make room for, ones in the future, get rid of some ones you don't really wear as much anymore, ones that you don't think are ever really going to get a player on the back of it, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I tried doing that. And all of a sudden I was wondering why, my ad only had one view for well over a day, and I click on it and it says there's a problem with your ad, and I'm like, oh, I guess apparently the ad tripped some sort of thing with regards to copyright.
Really?
Yeah.
So they thought you were selling copyrighted material?
They thought I was trying to profit from because I was using, a lot of industry terms in it.
Oh,
they
geez.
thought what I was doing. Yeah. So they thought that when I was talking about authentic, officially licensed replicas, they thought that I was trying to. So you can imagine what their algorithm thought. Now this took, 30 seconds to fix. And the ad is up now, but just what an inconvenience. The fact that I couldn't even just take these words out of the ad, I had to go through the appeal process.
Oh, geez, which would take forever, right? So, are you just gonna hang on to the jerseys, or?
I mean, the ad's up now. We'll see. I'm in no rush to get rid of them. It's just more so if they're out there, if somebody wants to make an offer on them.
Which are they?
It's one of my Blue Jackets jerseys, my Edmonton Orange alternate, my Minnesota alternate, my Mighty Ducks alternate, and a Red Wings home jersey.
Is there any way to search those up on Facebook if people want to buy them?
It'd be very difficult. Since if you were to just literally look up in Facebook Marketplace in Halifax, Nova Scotia, various hockey jerseys, and an ad at the time of recording this, a day ago, yeah, you would have a tough time finding it.
All right, well, good luck with selling those. Sounds like it's a promising venture.
We'll see. I hope they sell. It'd be nice. These are jerseys that are in the bottom third, let's say, of the collection's wearability, I guess would be the phrase.
Right. Well, keep us updated on how that goes. So it'd be interesting to see what sells and what gets no action whatsoever. So last week I mentioned that for my wife's birthday, I was going away, which we did this past weekend. And we went away to this little resort. It was a spa and resort. And as we're pulling up to the spa and resort, it appears that no one is there except for the staff. And when we get inside, it's true. Pretty much no one is there. Now, it is the off season, so I was expecting low attendance, but really, no one was there. Now, the funny thing is, we were there a little early, but our room still wasn't ready, which is odd considering that there was no one there, so there should have been empty rooms. Like, why wasn't a room ready? But whatever. Looking around the grounds, it looked exactly like my grandma's house, and it was probably built in the 40s or 50s, and nothing has changed since. So that was really interesting. And I mentioned that we were going for a couples massage, which we did. And the guy who gave me a massage, he was fantastic. He had a lot of strength, and he was able to put his weight on my back. So that actually turned out pretty good. It was my wife who got the terrible masseuse. I don't know if you've ever had a massage, Shawn.
I usually end up giving them, very rarely receiving them, despite my incredible need for them at times.
Okay, so it's supposed to be a calm, relaxing affair, and it's set up as such. But the old lady masseuse that my wife had would not shut up during the hour that we paid for a couple's massage. So it was like motivational, phrases as well. And I'm just sitting there as this guy is digging into my back with his thumbs and his elbows. And I'm just sitting there, and this other lady, we're in the same room, and this other lady that is giving my wife a massage, and my wife said it wasn't even that good of a massage. The lady, the masseuse, was pretty weak, but she's like whispering really petty kind of inspirational messages like, yeah, you're going to relax now. That's right, sunshine. Everything's okay. And I'm just thinking in my head, oh my God, my wife wants to punch this lady in her stupid face and tell her to shut up. So that was pretty interesting. And then the other thing that I was kind of worried about at this resort was I'm not a huge chatty guy. So like if passing strangers, I'm okay with a hi and a wave, but random conversation, just sparking it up out of nowhere, not my thing. The first thing we did was go to the hot tub, and who's in the hot tub? Chatty hot tub guy. I don't know if you've ever run into chatty hot tub guy, Shawn.
Well, I mean, I have a very, very, very limited number of subjects I can be particularly chatty on. So unless Buddy wants to talk about hockey for 5 hours, which I am very, very happy to do, by the way.
Yeah.
If he wants to talk about his RV, I'm going to be the yep, oh yeah, right, yeah, guy.
Yeah, that's who I was, and he was not picking up on the fact that we were just giving short responses. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just a cranky old man or something. But when we show up to the hot tub and the pool and that whole area, just the general resort, the whole idea of it is to relax and it's quiet and all this kind of stuff. And he starts chatting up about the weather and, oh, where'd you guys drive in from and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't want to do it. We actually got out of the hot tub and went in the cold pool just to get away from this guy, because that's all he wanted to chat about. And he wanted to tell us about how he was a member of the club. And it's just like, shut up. I don't care.
Small talk. Yay. I love this.
Oh,
it's great. I went on vacation for this.
Small talk is the worst.
You could stand in line at the bank and get the same thing.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, exactly. And we had another person at a breakfast who wanted to do the same thing. We're sitting at our table, and my wife and I are talking. And this person next to us is overhearing our conversation and jumping in whenever they see fit.
This is why I invested in a pair of wireless headphones, because you can just throw them on and tune out the world, and you don't have to interact with any. I found it most useful, like if I want to go into McDonald's for a coffee, and there's a little bit of a line because it's like noon, and you get like this old biddy in front of you, and she's just like every 5 seconds you get the sigh, looks around, the sigh, looks around. Right, and like and she knows, and the staff know that they're reasonably busy, and then she's been there for like 30 seconds. She's just waiting for someone she can look at, make eye contact, and then go, it's always like this.
Yeah,
it's always a line.
like talking to you will make it better, as if you're able to do something.
Oh, exactly. Like the person who's in the exact same situation, but can handle it like an adult. Wait 30. And then the funny thing is, like, you end up realizing that, oh, they definitely ordered saltless fries. You know they did that.
I was talking to my wife the other day, and I don't know, you might be too young to remember this, but McDonald's used to have a promotion where they sold fries in a bucket. It was like the equivalent of like 2 supersized fries or something like this. I don't know if you remember the show.
When was this?
This might have been 20 years ago, so that's why you might be too young
Yeah,
for this.
I might have been too young to remember this.
And so there used to be a show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It still might be on, but back 20 years ago, it was like the most popular show on TV. And so they had a promo at McDonald's where you get the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire bucket of French fries.
I do remember this. Okay, I do remember that.
Oh, I would kill for that now. I was saying, I had McDonald's the other day. I was saying French fries should just be a combo. You should have the French fry combo.
But fries with more fries than a drink.
Yeah, a bucket of fries should come in a combo. Done deal.
Oh, they can't. Oh man, that would be awesome.
It would be that, and
they got the 20-piece nuggets.
Yeah, I'm not sold on a McDonald's poutine though. I just want hot
fries.
Oh, the
gravy's disgusting.
Oh, I'm sure it would be. Like McDonald's
hot,
shouldn't be
double salted. Oh yeah, it'd be so good.
Yeah. All right, well, we've gotten that out of our system, so let's get into our playoff preview. All right, it's time to take a look at the 2019 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs, and we're going to start in the West with Calgary going up against one of the wild cards, Colorado. Let's start off with the jerseys here. And which matchup do you think is going to look better, Shawn? The one in Calgary or the one in Colorado?
I'm going to say the games in Calgary are probably going to look better, I think. And it's no disrespect really to either team's home or away here. I just think I'm really a big fan of the Black Sea. You know, I kind of get the 04 vibes from these jerseys. And as for Colorado's jerseys, I think for some strange reason I do kind of prefer their white jersey.
Really?
Maybe because it's an older version. Yeah. I just think that it's kind of like you're getting Calgary's stronger jersey versus Colorado's very maybe minorly not quite as strong. You know, it's like an 8.25 versus an 8.5. Well, Calgary, you're dealing with like a 7 versus a 6.5.
Now Calgary will be wearing their retro
you know
red,
what?
So
I forgot about that. Okay, you know what? They're going to look better in Colorado then.
That's what I was going to go with.
That's a controversial statement because so many people, especially in Calgary, love those red jerseys. I have no affinity for them. They're fine. But I do actually prefer the edge cut with the proper numbers on, or basically the edge cut without the piping and the actual non-NASCAR numbers. I think I'd take that over the retro jerseys at this point.
Yeah, the retro jerseys are whatever. They're almost retro for the sake of retro, but fans like them, so I guess that's why they're going to stick around. I would choose the game in Colorado, and it's because of Colorado's road jersey almost looks a little incomplete, and their whole half and half collar, where half of it is blue, but the rest on the front is their avalanche red color or maroon, whatever you want to call it. That just drives me nuts. So I'll take the games in Colorado, and that's just based on Colorado's jerseys. I think they'll look better. So as far as who's going to win this series, Calgary or Colorado, who do you got? How many games, and why are they going to win it?
I picked Calgary in 6. I think Colorado was kind of disappointing this year, but I mean, call it a sophomore slump for some of these guys. Call it whatever. I don't think that there's a cakewalk for Calgary. I think their goaltending has to show up. But I also think that at this point, Colorado's goaltending is either too young or past its prime, depending on who they're picking for their starter. I think you should go with Grubauer. He'd technically be the more experienced recently with playoff experience, but he only had, 2 games last year?
Yeah,
and they weren't great.
The first 2 for Washington, and then he got pulled for Holtby, so...
Yeah, so I mean, Varlamov's fine, but I might want to start Grubauer. Given that you finished, second wild card, you're probably going to come out next year as a top three in the Central. You're really going to get better. This might be a good chance to give Grubauer some quality starts, unless he can somehow start putting something together. So my pick's Calgary.
Yeah, my pick's Calgary too. I'm thinking it's going to be a close series though. So I'll throw out Calgary in 7. Their goaltending is questionable at best. Yet we say that, and they were top 10 in goals against per game in the league. So that'll be interesting. One area. So if Colorado can outduel Calgary in the goaltending area, they definitely have a chance, and that could be said for any series. But the one thing that sticks out for me, because special teams are so huge in the playoffs, is Colorado was top 10 in power play percentage. I think they were 7th, and Calgary was bottom third in penalty killing, under 80%. So if Calgary doesn't get the goaltending and can't stay out of the box, Colorado has a real chance to cause an upset here, but I don't think it's going to come easy. And conventional wisdom would say that Calgary wins this because they were so good during the season and overcame their goaltending deficiencies. So I'm going to take Calgary in 7 on this one. Our next series that we're going to get to is from the same bracket. We got the San Jose Sharks, the number 2 seed, going up against the Vegas Golden Knights, the number 3 seed. Shawn, which game is going to look best?
San Jose is just wearing the regular jerseys with this, right?
We don't know.
No black alternate. Yeah, okay. All right. So San Jose has a weird thing of wearing black at home in the playoffs, despite everybody saying that they look better in teal, which is true. But it really doesn't matter, because even as such, San Jose's white jerseys are desperately weak. I'm not a fan of them at all. Vegas's white jerseys, on the other hand, are passable, if not good. So no matter what San Jose wears at home, the games are going to look better in San Jose, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, because I really am loving San Jose's teal these days. I don't know why. They haven't changed a thing, but I'm just really loving their teal. I think it looks really solid. The lack of waist stripes is kind of a killer, but their teal looks really solid. It will be interesting to see if San Jose wears their third jerseys. They didn't last year. I don't think they did. I don't remember off the top of my head. I feel
They
like
didn't have all last year.
Oh, right. That's why they wore their teal jerseys. And they haven't announced anything this year. So it'll be
I feel like
interesting.
they had to get it in earlier this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll know by game 1. So that'll be interesting. As far as the series, who do you have and why?
I think that this is one of those cases where San Jose may, in fact, actually be the underdog, despite having 101 points and Vegas having 93. I'm not convinced. Similar to every team in the Central Division in the top 3, I'm not convinced by their record at all. You have to be worried about this team if you're facing them in the first round. I don't think that they're going to go as deep this year, because the West is better than it was, and it's not going to wear itself out. But yeah, let's say Vegas in 6, unless Martin Jones plays like he did in 2016.
Yeah, I'm taking Vegas here too. I think that's completely based on, I think Fleury's going to play better than Jones. Jones has not been good all year from what I hear, and Fleury is coming into form and becoming what he was last year. So I think that'll be the deciding factor. I think Vegas has a ton of confidence going in. This year, they're pretty much the same team that went to the final last year, except they've added Stone and Pacioretty, and I think that adds a lot as far as the confidence bank. So, again, it's not going to be easy. I don't think too many of these series are going to be that easy, but I'm going to take Vegas in 6 on this one. Moving to Nashville and Dallas, this should really amp up the rivalry for next year's Winter Classic. Nashville won the Central. Dallas was a wild card team. Neither of these teams have alternate jerseys, so they'll just be wearing their regular gear. Which games are going to look the best, Shawn?
This is tough because, I mean, I don't want to say that Nashville's Adidas set has grown on me per se, but I don't think there's a bad looking game here. You know what? I'm actually going to say that the games in Dallas are going to look better because I love the victory green and there's enough yellow on the away jersey to carry it. But it's close here. This is a good looking series.
Yeah, lots of color in this series. I'm with you. I think the games in Dallas will look better. Nashville's home jersey still drives me nuts. At least the road has the yellow shoulders on it. But yeah, so Dallas's victory green is an incredible look. Still stays strong. What are we, 5 years, 6 years into it? So that's still a strong looking jersey. Their Adidas collar is an absolute mess on their home jersey, but that can be overlooked because the collar kind of hides most of the time. So yeah, I'll take the games in Dallas as looking the best. Who's going to win this series and why?
This is the easiest series to pick. It's Nashville. And it's not even because Dallas is particularly bad, but there is nothing jumping out at me saying, oh, Dallas can somehow win this, unless Nashville gets injured or falls apart. Nashville only had 100 points this year, which I know it's thinking only 100 points. Again, this is a division where the last place team had 83 points. It's a really tough division. Every team in this division would have over 100 points, maybe if playing in a weaker division, and I do mean every team. So, but at the same time, with the exception of like Ben Bishop, Jamie Benn, and Tyler Seguin, there's not a whole lot in the playoffs that I'm looking at and going, yeah, this is going to make for a deep run. Meanwhile, in Nashville, well, they got everything, and they got knocked out earlier than a lot of people expected last year. So they're looking to come back this year with a vengeance.
Yeah, I think this one is. I'm going with a Nashville sweep on this one. I don't see Dallas having enough in any category to take out the Preds. I think Nashville's better. Just overall, their whole team. Their defense is better. Their goaltending is much better. I'm not so sure that Bishop is going to be able to hang in there with Rene. I like Nashville's group of forwards. That's solid. So I think this one is just one of those ones where it's going to be a sweep. And I'm taking Nashville in 4 on this one. Here we go, Shawn. Let's get into the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Which game's going to look the best and why?
Oh, the games in Winnipeg for sure. Now, to be fair, the Blues and the Jets are two of my favorite jerseys in the NHL. It's a very blue series. I think there's between the teams, there's 6 shades of blue in each team's color palette. But we're getting 4 in this series. And the midnight blue Jets home jerseys are my favorite in the NHL. They're absolutely gorgeous. And the Blues road is probably my favorite road in the NHL right now. I'm really a big fan of that. So I really like seeing those together for a couple games.
Yeah, I'm going to take the games in Winnipeg as well, but for different reasons. I think both teams have really great jerseys. I find St. Louis's arena to be very dark on TV, so it absolutely has no effect on the game whatsoever. But St. Louis's arena comes off very dark on TV, I find. Kind of dark, dirty, not very pleasant to look at. Where Winnipeg, that's going to be an incredible atmosphere. So that's why I'm going to take the games in Winnipeg as looking better. Who's going to win this series, Shawn, and why?
This is a tough one because the Jets weren't particularly great. They had a chance to run away with the division and didn't for whatever reason. And on the other hand, they're a little bit more experienced with the Blues than these deep playoff runs after last year. On the other hand, the Blues are a really good team, underrated for sure, and hot. I think the winner of this division, you have to look at the winner of this series, I think wins the West. So I'm going to say Jets in 6. That being said, I won't be disappointed if the Blues win the series because I want to see where these guys go, and Tyler Bozak's my boy. And B, whichever team comes out of this, I think can take Nashville down, can take Calgary down, and if I'm correct, can take the team I think is going to win the East down.
Who's coming out of the East?
We'll talk about that when we get to them.
Good one, Shawn. Yeah, I think the real intrigue going into this series is the Blues' hot run to get into the playoffs, starting the month of January in last place in the league, versus Winnipeg's sputtering, I guess, in the last month or so, 2 months. I mean, seems to be the chatter coming out of Winnipeg, is they can't put it all together. I think they lost 5 of 7 coming down the last 7 games of the season. So it'll be interesting. Who will win the goaltending battle? Because Binnington's very hot for St. Louis right now, and Hellebuck is very mediocre at the moment. So, but again, playoff time, can he turn it on, right? We've seen it before. Goalies can turn it on. And so at this point, I do like Winnipeg's forward group better than St. Louis's forward group. And I like their defense if they're healthy. Well, that remains to be seen how healthy they will be. So I will take Winnipeg, but this might be the series of the first round. I'm taking Winnipeg in 7 on this one. So to recap, Shawn and I have picked the same teams in the West. So we have Calgary going over Colorado. We have Vegas going over San Jose. We have Nashville going over Dallas. And we have Winnipeg going over St. Louis. We will be right back with our preview of the Eastern Conference. This is the HJC Podcast Network. New shows every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Here we go, Shawn. Eastern Conference. Let's start with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Tampa Bay won the Atlantic Division. Columbus squeezed in with the wild card berth, as they should have, with all those moves that they made at the trade deadline. Let's look at what game will look best. What do you think?
Honestly, the worst looking series. Neither team has particularly strong jerseys, but I'm going to say the games in Columbus are going to look better because I'm a surprising fan of Columbus's navy jerseys, and Tampa's white jerseys have always had a bit of a soft spot because they look less like the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I just prefer Columbus's home jersey, so I'm taking the games in Columbus as looking better. But I am looking at a picture right now of a game in Tampa, and it looks pretty solid. The only thing that I don't like about Tampa's uniforms is when they play the Leafs, it just looks like a blue versus white game, like an inter scrimmage game or whatever. But if you take that out of it, Tampa Bay's got a really solid look, I think. And I don't know why all the hatred for the Jackets uniforms. I'm a fan of them. But yeah, I'm taking the games in Columbus. We have not heard of, thank goodness Tampa Bay's not wearing their thirds. Columbus could be a candidate to wear their thirds. That will be interesting. But again, that hasn't been announced. So would you expect to see Columbus in their thirds, Shawn?
I would 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't know this year. I think that they built more of this run on their home jersey, so they're going to keep it.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. They've put together an incredible team that just couldn't seem to put it together in the last 6 weeks or come together and be what they were supposed to be. But who do you have in this series, Shawn?
Oh, this is tough. This is really it's not tough. Tampa's going to win this, but to be fair, Columbus will steal a game or two. I'd go with Columbus in 6 just because I think Bobrovsky can steal a game and the Columbus forwards can steal a game. I think that they can do that. That being said, it'll be like overtime, last 2 minutes of play type thing. On the other hand, when Tampa wins 6-0, 5-1, 7-2, like those are going to be the finals when Tampa wins.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Columbus kind of sneak in and steal that first game. They've been gunning on all cylinders for a while. Tampa Bay hasn't necessarily been in cruise control because they won 62 games or something this season, so I'm not so worried about that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus comes in, steals that first game, and that kind of snaps Tampa Bay awake, and they take the series in 5 or 6. But I don't see Columbus putting up too much of a fight here, but I totally agree with you. If they are going to steal some games, it's going to be because of the forward group or because of Bobrovsky. So we'll see where this goes. But just like you, I'm taking Tampa Bay in 6. Let's move to Boston and Toronto meeting for the third time in 5, 6 years. Third time in 6 years in the first round. Which game is going to look best here?
Oh, this is tough. This is another series that I don't really care for each team's jerseys. I won't even lie. I know what you're thinking. How can you not care for Boston, Toronto? Well, I don't. So I'm going to say, and the reason why is I'm sick of this series. I'm sick of these two teams meeting. And as a Leafs fan, I just want this to be over with. So I'm going to say, because I think this is where the series is going to end, Toronto, blue, Boston, white.
When I always picture these teams, I always picture Boston, the home team. So that's the games to me that'll look better. It looks a little odd when you switch it around and Toronto's in blue. But so I'm going with the games in Boston. And I guess that's just because that's where all the memorable ones have been. The last two Game 7s have been in Boston. And if there is a Game 7 here, which I don't think so, but if there is a Game 7, it'll be in Boston as well. Shawn, who's winning this series and why?
Boston's going to sweep the Leafs. And they at least have a lot of soul searching to do after this swept. Because I can guarantee you, if Curtis McElhinney were still on the Leafs right now, and maybe they invested in some guys that could hit, maybe we'd be talking about a series. The Bruins are the Jets of the Eastern Conference, I think. Just comparing their rosters and the types of players that they have on their team now, the Bruins and the Jets are nearly identical, and because of that, the Bruins are my pick to win the East this year. So, but not only that, I think that this is the kind of series where you can really just start a run on, where you're going to gain a lot of confidence. You're going to play smart hockey. You're going to bury this team, and you get rolling into that next series, and all of a sudden you're in the conference finals.
Interesting choice there, but I'm also taking Boston. I'll take them in 5. I'll give the Leafs at least one win. The Leafs don't have much of a chance here at all, unfortunately. Since January, I heard, the beginning of January, I believe they're the 9th best team in the Eastern Conference, so that's not going to get the job done. Boston's power play is too good. Toronto's penalty kill is not good enough. Boston's defense is fantastic. Toronto's defense is atrocious. And I don't care how many goals Toronto scored. That's not what wins games in the playoffs. So I'm taking Boston in 5, unfortunately, as much as it hurts to say that. And a lot of people, the Toronto radio that I listen to, it's not like anybody's saying Toronto's going to win the series, but they are reporting on it and saying outwardly that Toronto has a shot, that they think the series is going to be a long series. And I think that might just be trying to pump up the home team's playoff series. I do not see this lasting a long time. I think Toronto will pick up that Game 3. Like, Boston's going to take the first 2 in convincing fashion, as they did last season. And Toronto's going to pick up that Game 3 win back at home because they know they have to, or else the series is pretty much over. And then Boston's just too good. They're just going to shut it down. They're going to take the next 2. And I got Boston in 5 there. Let's go to Washington taking on the bunch of jerks from Carolina. This one's pretty easy for me. But before we get to our predictions, let's go with jerseys. Carolina's wearing their black third jerseys. I don't know why, but they are. Which game's going to look better, Shawn?
How much time have we spent on this podcast just praising those Carolina red jerseys?
They're solid, and they're not. They're done for the year.
They're fantastic. They're beautiful. They're like, and you look at them, and Carolina's sitting there going, "Nah, I know what we need. Double flag time." But it's funny because I am actually, well, I don't know. Do the white jerseys currently have that overhang yoke thing that they had on the edge cut that I really liked? Because I was actually quite a fan of they do. All right. I'm going to say the games in Washington are going to look better. I have a soft spot despite what the owner says. I love these away jerseys personally. I think you could have built a set around them. They do have to go because they have a better matching set now, or possibility for a matching set. But yeah, no, I like these, and I'll probably pick one up when they go on clearance. So yeah, you know what? I can give those bunch of jerks, throw a support on the road. Sure.
Yeah, games in Washington are definitely going to look better here because that black jersey is terrible. It is really bad. It hasn't aged well in the 9 months that it's been released, and it's just a bad jersey. So there's no way that the games in Carolina are going to look better than the games in Washington. Who wins the series, Shawn? How many games?
I'm going to say first upset I'm picking Carolina.
Really?
I love these bunch of jerks. I really do. I don't care if I'm wrong about this one. I probably will be, but I'm fully on behind the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe it's because I grew up in a time where they went to 2 cup finals, 3 conference finals. They've never been irrelevant to me. I don't want them going anywhere. I'm fully behind them on this. I want to see them make a little bit of a run here. Don't be surprised if Washington just sweeps them right out. But yeah, you know what? Carolina in 7. Let's do this. Keep the bunch of jerks train going. Make me proud.
All right, that's on record now. It's on the podcast. So if it actually happens, we can come back and revisit episode 75 to hear Shawn make the prediction that the Hurricanes are going to upset the defending Stanley Cup champions. I'm completely the other way. I'm taking Washington for the sweep here. Just don't think Carolina is good enough, and I think they've got to where they want to go, so now they're satisfied, and they won't have enough to amp it up again to defeat the Capitals. So I got Washington in the sweep here. Let's go to our final first round series. This one's very interesting. Not unlike the St. Louis and Winnipeg series. This one could be a long one. We have the Islanders and the Penguins. Which game's going to look good, Shawn? The best?
This is just a classic series, classic jerseys. We've seen these all before for many years. I don't know if they really faced each other a lot in the 90s playing in these jerseys, like late 80s, early 90s. They must have played at least once.
According to I think the last time they played was 2013. So Pittsburgh wasn't wearing these retro.
I remember that series. Yep, I remember that series.
And they played in '93, but that was the RoboPen, jerseys.
Oh, really?
So other than that, I don't know other times that they played.
Huh. All right. So
they played in the mid '70s, and the Islanders.
Oh, that would have been the different.
I believe the Islanders came back from being down 3-0. So that was the baby blue pens.
Oh, so yeah, this is kind of weird. You got 2 teams with well-known cup dynasty jerseys that are now just facing each other this year. I'm a big fan of New York's blue jersey. Pittsburgh's white jerseys kind of has a soft spot on me despite its terrible color balancing. So let's go with that. The games in New York, well, wherever the hell they're being played, will look better. Actually, I'm even going to say, even if they decided to rock that alternate, it'd still be better.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you. Yeah, the Islanders blue is best. Pittsburgh's black jerseys are still really good, but lots more color for the Islanders blue. The games at Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum or New York Live or whatever they're calling the arena right now. They're playing on Long Island. The Penguins got roasted for saying in Long Island. They got roasted by the Islanders' own Twitter account. Guess what? Only Islanders fans care if you say on or in Long Island. But anyways.
The Islanders fans seem to care about a lot of stupid things.
They really do. Good point, Shawn. Yeah. So I would agree with you there that the games on Long Island are going to look best. As far as the series, how's it going to go? Who's going to win and why?
This is tough. I don't want to say that the Islanders are going to win because all I'm going to hear from certain HJC contributors is how I'm supporting that. And I can't support the Islanders fans after all that they did with John Tavares. I really can't. But at the same time, if I support Pittsburgh, well, all of a sudden half of HJC's got an ego. But if I had to pick, just pulling all the BS out of this, I love this Islanders team. The Islanders are a franchise I like to see do well. I like to see them succeed. I don't want to see them win the cup or anything. But when I see them make the playoffs, I think the NHL does better because of it. So I'm going to pick the Islanders in a really good series in 7. The Islanders, they don't have a definitive number one star. It's 5 or 6 guys who, and they're 4 lines. And I think that they go all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Interesting pick there. I'm also taking the Islanders. I'll take them in 6. I think they're going to grind down the Penguins. I think they're going to slow them down. They have a great defensive system due to coaching. And I think they're going to win the goaltending battle. I do not trust Matt Murray in the slightest. I don't trust him to outperform Robin Lehner. And I don't trust him to stay healthy for the playoffs. And if that happens, Pittsburgh's definitely done. So I'll take the Islanders in 6 here. Before we close up shop here, let's do a quick recap. You have Calgary beating Colorado and Vegas beating San Jose. So if Calgary and Vegas were to meet in the second round, who would win that series, Shawn?
I'm going to say Calgary wins just because I think that they can outscore Vegas. But don't be surprised if Vegas wins that series. But let's say Calgary because I'm going to pick the Canadian team. But again, never sleep on Vegas. We learned that last year.
Yep. You have Nashville and Winnipeg winning their series, so who would win the second round matchup there?
Oh, I think Winnipeg hands it pretty heavily to Nashville. I don't think we're going to get the same quality hockey we got last year, but we're not getting 7 games. I think Nashville gets worn out a little easier than Winnipeg. I think that Nashville when they did that cup run, they're a little older now. They can't really do that.
And then in the conference final, Calgary and Winnipeg, who's going to the Stanley Cup final in your books?
Winnipeg, and pretty easily here, I think, because, the Flames have pretty good goaltending. I mean, you got Connor Hellebuck, and if he has an off day, if Laurent Brassard can come back and can steal the games that he did during the regular season, or even Eric Comrie can steal a couple games, the second that you can either Hellebuck throws that team on his back or the backup goalies step up and fill in, watch out. So, yeah, Jets win the West.
All right, we're going to the East now. You got Tampa Bay and Boston. Who's taking it?
Boston for sure. And, in fact, I think it's Boston in 6 because I think what's going to happen is Boston's going to have guys – like Charlie Coyle, who can hit you and score. All of a sudden, Stamkos maybe not playing his best. All of a sudden, guys like that, maybe Vasilevsky gets a guy hit into him. I just think Boston's the more physical team.
And you have Carolina and the Islanders winning their first round series. So who wins that second round series?
Oh, the Islanders. The Islanders. You know what? I'm going to say Islanders in 6 on that one. Just because I think Captain Mac, if he could steal a couple games, I do like that he's just putting on this revenge body kind of performance for the Hurricanes, and that he can walk away from the game knowing that he gave the biggest FU to the Leafs since Cujo.
Okay, and Boston and the Islanders in the West Final. Who do you like?
Boston.
And that puts Boston and Winnipeg in the Stanley Cup Final. Are you taking your Jets to win the Cup this year?
100%. I've been saying it since the beginning of the year, and I'm sticking by that pick. Is it the smartest pick? I don't know. We'll see. At this point, it's like Tampa Bay Thanos, and the rest of the NHL are the Avengers, and someone's just got to beat Tampa.
All right, so Shawn has Winnipeg winning the Stanley Cup this year. Going by my picks, I have Calgary defeating Colorado and Vegas defeating San Jose. Calgary, Vegas in the second round. I'm taking Vegas. Vegas outduels Calgary goaltending-wise, so Vegas into the conference final. I have Nashville beating Dallas and Winnipeg beating St. Louis. And then I have Nashville defeating Winnipeg in the second round matchup. So I have Vegas and Nashville in the conference final in the West. And I'm taking Nashville to go to the Stanley Cup final. In the East, Tampa Bay and Boston are going to advance, and I have Tampa Bay winning that second round series. And Washington and the Islanders are going to advance, and I have Washington taking that second round series. So in the East Final, Tampa, Washington, Tampa Bay is going to get some revenge and take out Washington in the East Final this year, whereas Washington taking out Tampa Bay last year. So that makes my Stanley Cup Final Tampa Bay and Nashville. And I've been saying it for a few weeks now. I do not see a way that Tampa Bay does not win the Stanley Cup this year. So I have Tampa Bay defeating Nashville in the Stanley Cup Final to win the Stanley Cup for the first time since 2004. So there's our playoff picks. Take the information as you will and head on over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now and enter our playoff pool. It's open until Wednesday, April 10th, 2019, until the puck drops for the first game of the playoffs. You can get your picks in. We just go round by round. You don't have to pick ahead or anything like that. So you can come back each round and take another shot at it. The winner, the player with the most points at the end of the playoffs, will be the winner of the playoff pool. Going on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now, we have the St. Louis Blues redesign, and those entries are due April 19th at noon Eastern. And we also have the San Jose Sharks redesign vote going on. That's a top 3 vote. And voting for that ends on April 12th. So be heads up for that. Again, playoff pool going on. So take a look at that. Shawn, before we go, I forgot to ask you, overall in the first round, what is the best looking series overall?
It's a tie between St. Louis, Winnipeg, and New York, Pittsburgh. It depends on which or how you like your jerseys. If you're a classic jersey fan, Pittsburgh Islanders is a series for you. If you're more like a modern design, definitely going to have to put you in the Winnipeg, St. Louis. Honorable mention to Nashville, Dallas. I think that they are probably just as good if you don't like 4 shades of blue, you want more colors. And if you want a preview for what the winter class is going to probably look like next year, color-wise, take a look at that Nashville-Detroit series. And worst-looking series, by far, goes to Washington, Carolina, because Carolina couldn't do the one thing they were supposed to do, and they're a bunch of jerks.
I can't help but agree with you, Shawn. That will be the worst-looking series. And again, I have to agree with you that St. Louis Winnipeg is going to be the best looking series. So that's all we have time for this week. I'd like to thank Shawn for being on, and to stay up to date with all of our podcasts, be sure to subscribe to the HJC Podcast Network to get notifications whenever episodes go up. Thank you to all the Jersey Nerds for listening. Goodbye, everybody.